I mean, you've done that your whole life. You've punted ever since high school. So how do you kind of get back in that mode again of trying to, take that job? And
Back in high school, I'd say, yeah, I was a kicker and a punter, but I'd say I was more of a kicker and a raw punter. Now I can finally truly call myself a pure kicker and a pure punter because now I've finally worked on the fundamentals of punting. I finally understand when I hit a bad punt, why that happened. Just as if I hit a bad field goal, I'm able to understand why I did that. So I can finally understand now that I'm a punter and a kicker, not just a kicker and a raw punter. So it's kind of developed on me, and it's kind of worked into my system, and it's come a long way, that's for sure.
Is that something you've worked on here, or have you kind of gotten back with your kicking guys in the offseason?
I mean, I've been working with my kicking coach. Yeah, I call him here and there, send him videos and whatnot. But pretty much for me, it's working with Coach Diaco here. Coach Diaco is helping me out tremendously. He's been able to take the time in not only for his linebackers but for us punters as well in order to go out there and understand the fundamentals for punting. And he's incorporated that in with me and not really punting a ball that much during the spring unless we got outside, and just making sure that I'm focused on my form. And so he's been drilling that into me like he drills his linebackers, and it's obviously helped me out a lot.
What are some of the keys for you that he points out to you?
The biggest thing he points out for me is explosion. He kind of relates it to tackling. When you are about to tackle someone, you kind of stop a little and then you start back up. You explode into the player, and that's the biggest thing for me was as a kicker you kind of explode downfield, but as punting you got to explode up, and so that's the biggest thing for me. And
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me, and it's helped my hang time tremendously. So. And he's done a lot with me form-wise.
Any other, keys for you? Like you have a checklist for yourself?
Oh, definitely. I would say there's a lot more checks on punting than there is kicking. You can punt a ball all the different ways. You can kick a ball all these different ways, but when it comes down to it in the end, I'd say punting's harder to pick up. And I've definitely focused on that a lot this spring. And I'd say there's 10 more checks to do on punting than there is field goal. So I guess I can finally say, like, I'm not raw anymore, that I know all these checks.
And why is that? Is there that much more to the movement?
For punting, it's more of you have to walk proper line.
Okay.
You have to understand your drop and whatnot, and you have to understand it's kind of a pushing a ball off the table and somewhat. Everything's got to be still, whereas field goal, it's right there for you. But punting, you have to do everything for yourself. So, yeah.